Hi guys, I'm going to kick straight off. We're running a little bit behind. Stephen and I thought we were both pretty low on time when it came to our presentations, but I think we're going a bit over time. That and I also need a wee, so I'm not going to keep things too long. Thank you at all for coming from Monzo, talking about accessibility. Keep working hard. I'm an investor, so is anyone else an investor in Monzo? A bit. You see the announcement today? I think the valuation doubled, right? From the series, the second round of crowdfunding. I think.
25 in the first round.
I quit. I'm out. Okay, all right. Okay, so I am going to whiz through this. So I'm Liam, and I'm a product designer. And I come from kind of contracting and stuff like that in agencies, and I've worked on mobile apps, I've worked on web apps, and I've also tried to work on VR and AR apps. Very, very difficult. Possibly the emerging technology, next big thing, but very challenging as well. So I'm a product designer on Healthcheck, and Healthcheck is essentially an assessment, it's a health assessment. And by answering around 80 questions, which, yes, does take a good half hour, on everything from your family history to your diet, your exercise habits, and then quite a comprehensive one on mood as well. We give you, in return, what we call a digital twin. And this is a reflection of your health as it is today compared to people of your age and gender in the UK. And also what your health might look like if you continue the habits that you have. And most importantly, we offer some actions, albeit basic ones at this point, on what you can do to improve your health and prevent illness in the future. And that's what I do as a product designer at Babylon. So I want to talk to you a little bit about today, about some of the techniques that we can use, and I planned for this to be about 10 minutes, I'm probably behind already. So I'm going to introduce one of the problems that we have, and we prioritize speed over efficiency at times. And the reason for this is because we are Blitzscaling. Has anyone heard of Blitzscaling? I thought you had. They're all Babylon, or Monzo. Okay. So Blitzscaling is an idea. It's another buzzword, if anyone wants to play buzzword bingo. Proposed by Reid Hoffman and another chap. Who else was it, do you know? Some other dude. I'm sure he's a billionaire. So Reid Hoffman was the founder of LinkedIn. It might be his co-founder, actually. And Blitzscaling is about growing extremely quickly, dominating a market. No need for profit. We don't need any of that. We just need to be the biggest company in the world. So think WeWork, Uber, Monzo, Babylon, really big high-tech startups like that. And that means that as designers, Stephen and I have to design for rapid growth. We've got to plan to dominate the market, and we've got to prioritize speed over efficiency. And this is the main one that as designers we can often come into challenges against. So that's what I highlight today. And this means that we've highlighted speed over analytics. So in our race to get products out and test things, we haven't really put as much analytics in place as perhaps some of us would like. So we don't have complex user journeys that we're able to measure, and we've got to make really big decisions within quite small time frames. And just to add to all of this, we also have to do it in the context of healthcare. And I'm sure everyone in here agrees that healthcare is really personal. It's very often irrational. We don't know how people are going to behave and what attitudes they might have towards their health. So how might we be more confident in the decisions that we make as product designers? So just a really quick show of hands, who in here is a designer? Product designer, UX designer, UI, I don't know what the latest buzzword is for our profession. Okay, good, that's quite a lot, right? So how many of you have done user testing? Okay, and what kind of testing is that? Quick shout out. So face-to-face interviews, that kind of stuff? Okay. So I might be wrong, I might be completely misreading a room, but I find that we actually get a lot of designers coming in from really good agencies and stuff like that, and they've done a lot of user testing, but it's usually face-to-face. Be that, it's a GV sprint on the last day, on a Friday, you're going to test with 5 people, because if you get it right with 5 people, then it's the best in the world and you're going to be billionaires, right? Unfortunately not. So, if we don't have analytics, we can't science, but we can gamble. And this is a very typical GIF, as I'm sure I'm hoping to explain to you later, where you might show your cards first, and then you might bring them back. So I want to introduce a really, really quick, hopefully actionable way that you can test products and test ideas really, really quickly, and try to attain some of the confidence that you might get from analytics, but really, really quick, without building anything first. And that's with a comparative study. So comparative study is a technique that designers can use to test different ideas. And these ideas can be anything really from, even like components, value propositions. Maybe you're talking about, basic titles and subtitles, trying to explain an idea, right through to entirely, whole products or prototypes, screens, whatever. And it's for trying to, as I say, it's trying to get the insights that you'd like from analytics. Now, you're not going to get science, but you can make a good gamble that you would try and use A/B testing for. And it's about gathering evidence so that you can make quite big decisions, and you can decide what to invest in and what you can prioritize in your backlog. What you're going to need is, I would suggest, though, this is very open, you can have prototypes, or better yet, single screens that you want to test between. You need a really good idea. I definitely mean idea there. You don't need to know exactly who your market is, but just an idea. And then ideally a usertesting.com account as well. So the first step is to have a control and at least one variance. So a bit of a rush putting this presentation together. So I thought I'd try and explain with some basic wireframes. So say we have, a festival app, right? And we've got a control. Maybe we've got something on the market already. We've got some basic product out there. And what we want to do is we want to propose new ideas. We want to know is there new features that might make the app better? Is there new UI that we could design? Maybe some really quick wins that might get us a bit of ROI. So first variant, we've got the one tap book button, kind of like an Amazon vibe. Second one, maybe there's a little scale for how popular a given festival is. Third, you've got some kind of map. And fourth, you've got a bit of a combination of all of them. Think conceptually here. I've not thought too much about this, so you can't poke holes in my idea. The second is kind of more the crux, really. The second step is coming up with a really good survey. And this is something that it's really easy to mess up. And I'd like to try and give you an idea of the steps that you can take to try and minimize the problems that people have with surveys. So ask both quantitative and qualitative questions. This is something that face-to-face interviews often lack, though you definitely can do that. Ask balancing questions, and I'll explain what that is. Avoid leading questions, of course. And then if you can, try and talk to a researcher. I'm guessing many of you here don't have a researcher. You can't invest in a researcher yet. I would instead recommend that you go to forums and stuff like that. And there's a lot of lovely people online that can give you some advice as to how your survey is performing and what you can do to improve it. So to give you an example, I want to know how relevant a target user feels a screen is. And this is really, really similar. Or let's just say how personal a target user finds a screen. This is really similar to a study that I did, where I learned this technique from one of our lovely researchers. So you start with a question. This could be one of many questions. Don't take the piss, you don't want to bore people. But you could have, say, on a scale of 1 to 5, how personalized do you feel this screen is to you? Give 3 reasons why. Do a quick breakdown of that. On a scale of 1 to 5, this is a Likert scale, so this is going to give you some quantitative data. This gives you a number to work against. And the 3 reasons why will hopefully make people think a little bit more about how they justify their answer. And maybe we do, say, 20. We get 20 responses, and we find that on average we've got a score of 3.2 for personalized screen. Now, this is where most people, I think, would stop. And I would encourage you to take another step, a really, really important step. And this step is to give you more representative data, because a lot of people out there, as lovely as we are as human beings, we tend to often want to please people. Not always the case. You do, of course, get, big heads in user testing. And you want to try and balance it out a little bit. So you can ask a balancing question. Again, the very same structure. On a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you think the screen applies to the population as a whole? And you can see this isn't particularly negative, and that's kind of where a little bit of the nuance comes in. You want to ask something that does balance, is somewhat the opposite, but it doesn't want to be blatantly negative as well. And maybe we find that people think, okay, well, I think, out of 20 people, they think that it's 3.6 out of 5 for how well it applies to the population. But we know that that is not actually what we're going for if we're trying to make a screen really personalized. So we flip that on its head in terms of the Likert scale, and we find that it actually comes out at 2.4. Now we combine both these numbers, and we find that the personalization score, if you like, is 2.8. And 2.8 is very, very different from 3.2, especially if you're dealing in hundreds of thousands or millions of users. So as you can see, it's really quite conceptual. This is why I say it's you're gambling. It's not science, but it should give you a really good idea of how you can test particular qualities really, really quickly. And you can do this on user testing. Who knows usertesting.com here? Okay, it's just a platform where you can set up tests really, really quickly. My personal reason why I prefer this is you can set it up on a Friday, you can go out on a weekend, you can go drink, go hang out. If you set it up properly and you pay the money, you can come back on Monday and you often have the results back, which is fantastic. I don't know about you guys, but doing 5-hour-long interviews on a Friday, it's not good. Funny story, a little anecdote for you. I was downstairs and I'd done about 25 of these interviews, right? Doing this massive back-to-back sprints. And we had this recruitment agency getting all our people in. So I went up and greeted them. Hi, how you doing? And I'm sure many of you that have done this time and time again, you get into the rhythm, you don't really think about it. And this last one came, my beer was in sight. And this last participant came. I said, hi, how you doing? Are you Chloe? She said, yes. I said, fantastic. Please, come with me. And I took her out, and we went round to the other building. We used to have the other building, but we've taken over this floor now. Went to the other building, and we conducted the interview. It was 45 minutes long. I'm sat there, and my phone's going off. I'm getting some calls from people I wouldn't expect to get calls from. My Slack starts ringing, people from Babylon. I'm thinking, guys, I'm trying to work. It's not beer o'clock for me, I'm still working. And as we left, we walked out, and all the dots started to connect, and I'd realized what had happened. I came out of the building, and one of our lovely recruiters walked around the corner, and she had the most pissed off look on her face. And I realized that I took the wrong participant, and she was actually here for a job interview. So I said, thank you for letting us show you our user testing process. I'd like to pass you on to your next interview right now. And it would have been fine had they not posted. Does anyone know where Liam Carter-Hawkins is? He's taken a job applicant for user testing on the general channel with 1,400 people. Anyway, That's not going through this quick, sorry. I digress, I always do it. Okay, so the third step is, of course, to test. So you want to test with between 15 and 20 people. Ideally, minimum 15. This will give you much more of a representative data. This is more about, fuzzy UX metrics, not usability. That's why we don't go with 5. And you want to collate both the quant and the qual results. You want to use evidence to make a gamble as well. Back to this little fake example. Let's say we've got this control, we've got all the variants, and then we come up with these personalization scores. We find, bingo, number 2 is 4, it's higher than the rest, so that's our winner. So maybe we want to think about, should we invest in a kind of a population, gauge, popularity gauge or something like that. Definitely not science, but it's something to go on. So, if this is the kind of thing that interests you, if working really, really quick interests you, and working under certain pressure, and come up with new ways to test ideas and sell them to senior management, how can you get involved? So you can talk to myself, you can talk to Stephen, of course. Sure, you can talk to someone. I would like to say you could talk to one of our researchers. Unfortunately, we don't have any with us today. Or, ready for the plug? Boom, job applications. Or you can join us. We've got product design listings, we've got 5 of them. And then we've also got service design, UX design, and voice design. Otherwise, please come talk to us anyway. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. It's really, really hot. Is anyone else hot? It's just me, all right. Yeah, love having you here. I think we're here until about 9 o'clock, I think, and then we all need to go because some of our staff are hanging about watching Netflix, I think, on the 3rd floor. Thank you very much.